Hi, and welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, we have Christine Brooks with us today, and she is the dance director at Apex Friendship High School and doing great things. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Christine, can you tell us a little bit about your dance history, where you grew up and where you danced and what you're doing now?
So I was actually born and raised in Cary, North Carolina. I started dance very young, I think, as many young girls do. And I just grew to love dance as an art form. I went to Cary Ballet Conservatory actually when they first opened up. And I grew up with Cary Ballet. And when I got into high school, I went to Cardinal Gibbons High School. They have a very strong dance program there. And I was really involved in the dance program and the dance team. And so when I was really involved in the dance team, that took a lot of after school time. So I kind of had to pick and choose. So I did end up leaving private studio so I could focus on school dance since I was involved in two different programs. And my teacher there actually really, truly influenced me. And I think she's a speaker, Brooks Owens.
Yeah.
So she
So,
really inspired me. Yeah. So she's definitely a long term friend, mentor, someone that I can always go to, and just really inspired me in what dance is. It's not just movement. I mean, you're creating meaningful work, meaningful art. So after I graduated, I went to Meredith College. And at first, I wasn't really sure if I was going to major in dance. I always knew that dance was going to stay a part of my life. But I kind of viewed it as a hobby. I didn't really look at it as a career path or an option for me. So going into freshman year, I thought, oh, I'm going to be a nurse like my mom. I don't know if this is for me. So I explored the option of dance. And at Meredith, they also offer dance education. So I was looking more towards that route. Again, I looked towards Brooks for guidance. Um, so I went ahead and decided to have a dance education major, which was probably the best decision of my life because I know sometimes it can be risky to take a path in an arts field. But it was definitely the right decision for me. And as long as you know your passion and you're willing to work for it, it was just a great success in my life. So graduated from Meredith with my dance education background, and then I worked in at Nightdale High School for about 4 years, and then transferred to Apex Friendship High School this past year. So I'll be starting my second year at Apex Friendship. So been with Wake County for, I guess I'm starting year six. So
yes.
yeah.
Oh, great. And I love that you had a mentor in Brooks, and
Mhm.
that is really great. And it's
Yeah.
interesting because I say the same thing about having a dance education degree. I think it's the best decision I've ever made. So you're starting your second year at Apex Friendship
Mhm.
High School, and we have this whole new world in front of us,
We do.
right? This whole new world. So, what are a few things that you have planned for this year? And some people might know you are due with your very first baby in November, and that is so exciting. And
Yes.
congratulations.
Thank you.
So, what do you have planned for this year in terms of because we're all starting with virtual learning for Wake County Public Schools? And what are some things you have planned? And how will you have the students connect since they'll be
Yeah.
seeing each other only on their computers?
Yeah. So it's still kind of in the works. Um, but a few things that I've had planned. I know from this past time of just being virtual, it was kind of hectic because we didn't have a whole lot of planning time. So now that we're able to plan more and have more training, I think it's very important that in an arts field, in an arts class, that the students feel like they're working towards something. I think it's hard to be involved in a dance class that is supposed to be tangible and is supposed to have connection, and you're constantly talking and collaborating and creating. It's hard to kind of facilitate that in a virtual setting. Really cool different techniques and ideas, different platforms that we can use to get the kids involved in a virtual show, which again is that something tangible to look forward to, and they can kind of cut and edit and figure out all of these different skills that really you do need in the real world. So not only will we be working towards something that they are passionate about, they'll be able to learn some critical skills along the way.
And they have a common goal that you were talking about. That
exactly.
Is great. And also they're involved with it. So it makes them, that really is about them. So I really love that. Yeah.
Yes. I just think it's so important to have something to just look forward to, because I think when there's no end goal, it's just, are we doing busy work? And no one wants to do busy work. I don't want to assign busy work. It's not what dance is about. It's that tangible, the creative process, and then seeing that final product is just very rewarding. So that's probably the biggest thing that I have planned right now. And then there's just some different things you can do with Google Meet now. You can have little group hangouts where they can kind of pair off into their dance study groups and create and collaborate into smaller groups. So there's a deeper connection there than just me talking at all of them for a long period of time. So they'll be able to connect in that way.
I love breaking them off into different groups. I think that's a really great idea on your part, because then they feel like it's not all of them on a screen. They can actually connect with each other in their groups. And that also mimics what you do in a dance classroom as well.
Exactly.
So going in groups and things like that. So yeah. So being thrown into the virtual world back in March, and it was just insane. What are some things that you thought, okay, this worked out really well? And then maybe what is something that you thought, I tried that, I'm glad I tried it, but I'm not going to take that with me to the fall?
Yeah. So one of the things that I think they enjoyed was sometimes that solo work where they could create and it was their creation and they didn't have to collaborate or communicate. It was truly them leading themselves through the creation process. So I think they really, really enjoyed that portion, because we do a lot of collaborative work in the classroom, and I think they enjoyed some of that independence in creating their own work without figuring out, no, we're going to put this here. No, but I like this better. It was just, this is what I'm going to create. And, it just kind of went from there. One of the things that that didn't work is I always promised the students feedback. And I would do it from Google Classroom and just type different notes and things like that as I was going through looking at their videos or different assignments. That was really time consuming on my part. Because in a dance class, you're usually seeing a group or you're seeing a solo, and then you're verbally giving feedback like on the spot, or pulling them aside and giving them that warm and cool feedback. So it takes a lot longer to then look at the video, respond, and then do like 60 more after that. So I'm hoping that maybe I can then have this time. So I won't do that again. I just won't have time. I'm hoping this time I can have different appointment slots, when it's time to show their group, so that I can look at it live and then give feedback right after I saw the video or the performance. Just so it happens all in one kind of sequence and they're able to receive that feedback right away, and they can take notes of the feedback if they want to. So there's less time on my end, but they also can write their notes if they need to. For further reference.
That's a great idea. A great idea. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think, again, with the virtual learning, it's just so nice to have that conversation, again, connecting with that student, not just here's the paragraph of words I just typed. And it's just not as personal.
Right. Yeah. It's a great idea to get them all together. And that makes it, I just recently heard of this term called batching.
Uh-huh.
Just it was actually like a mom podcast that I was listening to, and they were just trying to give you advice on how to make your life easier,
Mhm.
and not trying to put things off in any way, just trying to make it more efficient
Mhm.
and make things so that everyone is happier at the end of the day. And so one of the examples was, if you're, and this is totally not dance related, but I'm coming around to it, but
Yeah.
plan on making like 3 meals during the week with chicken in it. Go ahead and make your chicken at the beginning of the week, and then you can use it for the rest instead of making the chicken like 3 times a week. And so
Yeah.
I feel like this was just fresh on my mind. So what you were talking about is almost like batching. Like, you
Yeah.
give them the best feedback that you possibly can, because then you're not sitting there at like midnight
Yeah.
on the 15th, 16th person going, point your toe, and just so
Right.
over it. It's
Right.
going to be fresh on your mind, and they'll get the feedback that they need, and it's more efficient. So
Yeah.
that's a
It's
great
authentic and, it's
idea. Yeah,
yeah.
I love that.
Mhm.
So you grew up in a private dance studio, and then you went to a private dance, or a private high school for
Yeah.
dance, and that was really great. So what is the difference that you've seen between the private studio and the private high school and a public school dance program?
Okay. So, for a private studio, I'll start with private studio first. I think private studio is definitely more, you go into class and you know that you're going to work on technique and perfect your technique and then get stronger in technique and that foundation. And there's some guest choreographers that come in and teach you choreography. And then when we have recitals, it's very heavy teacher taught. There's not a whole lot of student led choreography. So for me, it's all about, when you're in the private studio, you're training and you're trying to just get better and perfect the skills, and then your reward is the recital at the end, um, which I loved, because you need that foundation
Right.
to even go beyond that.
Mhm.
You need that foundation. I think in a private school, just from my personal experience, it kind of mirrored the same. We did a lot of technique. We had a lot of student teacher taught choreography, and we also had a lot of guest artists, which was awesome. Brooks brought in a lot of different people from New York. So we would have a lot of field experience with different choreographers, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So it was great. Great experience. I definitely think private school and private studio, they kind of mirrored a little bit of the same things.
Yeah.
Um, and we did have a showcase as well, which was a lot of fun. Uh,
Yeah.
the one of the things that I learned from being at a private school and then bringing it into my public education program was the way that dance shows were run. They were very professional. They were very efficient, still student friendly and community friendly, but very professional and just crisp and clean, and um, just a variety of different dances. And it wasn't just slow songs the whole time or fast songs the whole time. It was very dynamic and layered. And so I definitely took that piece from my private school education and brought that into the classroom now, because I think it's so important when we're on stage. That should really be your formal showcase of your work.
Right.
Um, so with public school, I think we have a stricter kind of guideline of what needs to be taught, because we do have a core curriculum, dance history, elements of movement, things like that. There's a lot. I think the biggest difference in private studio and private school versus public school is very student centered in terms of student learning and student growth and leadership and things like that. A lot of students that are in private studio classes, and they get their wonderful technique there, but then they're able to channel whatever they're learning, at the studio into the classroom through a creative outlet. So they're getting both, just in two different environments. So I think it meshes very well together. And it's kind of nice too when you have a group of students. I'm just thinking about my most advanced group. When they have that foundation of technique already there, I mean, they can create like anything. So it's really cool to see. So I think that's the biggest difference. But all experiences were phenomenal. I mean, they were great. They just had so many enriching just avenues and just different ways.
Yeah. And it sounds like your students really get that leadership role, which is really important. In your program, do you have beginners? Do you have a level
Yeah.
one class? You do.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
great. And I love that. I love that someone who has never been able to take dance before can come and take a dance class at school. I'm going to ask you a few lightning round questions,
Oh
and
yeah.
you can just answer off the top of your head, whatever comes
Okay.
up. So the first question, who is your favorite dancer?
Oh my goodness. For me personally, I was so ballet oriented when I first started dance. Learning about Isadora Duncan and Martha Graham kind of opened my eyes because their background is all about breaking the rules of ballet and just exploring dance as meaning. Like if you see a tree, what does the tree mean in your body and things like that. So
Right?
I think that's why they really stuck out to me when I first started learning about dance history in general,
Yeah.
because I was so just ballet oriented and just hearing about their stories and just breaking the rules of ballet and how it's more dance is more than just structure and technique. There's underlying meaning to the movement.
Yeah, that's great. Part of like a major part of our dance history. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, number two, what is your favorite Netflix show to binge?
Oh gosh. So my favorite, and it's so funny because I used to watch this in high school, would probably be Gossip Girl. Like a lot of times I'll just have Gossip Girl running. I don't even know if I watch it anymore. It's like
Right.
if I have laundry or dishes or something and I just need something playing in the background,
Yeah.
I just have it on, repeat.
All right. Number three, what is the song people would be surprised that you know all the lyrics to?
Oh gosh.
I'm giving you all the hard lightning round questions.
Um, Probably Part of Your World by Little Mermaid.
That's a great one. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. And number four, what is your favorite dance memory? It
Um,
can be from when you were little up until
yeah.
now.
So I think as a teacher, my favorite dance memory, gosh, there's so many, but I think it was putting on my first dance show and just standing in the wings, watching, everything just happen. It just makes you like emotional and then you're like on top of the world and it's not like, oh my gosh, look at everything I did. It's look what I did like with these kids. Like these kids and I trusted in each other and we couldn't do this. We couldn't create this product without, you know, each other. So it's a very rewarding experience. So probably my first dance show.
You're just so proud and just,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just something you'll never forget. So
Yeah.
that's a great dance memory. I love that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and
Of
best
course.
of luck this year. You've shared so much. So thank you very much. It was
Thank
great.
you for having me.